You're not crazy for feeling it. That strange pull, that sudden wave of energy that seems to flood your chest when you're doing nothing at all, that vivid dream, that moment where you hear their name in a song, see their birthday on a license plate, or feel their energy in a crowded room even though they're not there. You think you're just imagining things. You think it's just coincidence. But deep down, something in you knows. You are being called, not by accident, not by obsession. You are being manifested. And not by just anyone, but by a dark chosen one. These kinds of people don't show up in your life randomly. They operate on a different frequency. They don't chase. They summon. They don't beg. They bend reality. And if you've been feeling a deep, unexplainable shift in your energy lately, if your inner world has felt like it's moving, even when your outer world looks the same, it might be because someone is working with the unseen to call you into alignment. And that someone is not just anyone. They are a dark chosen one. And what's wild about them is that they never manifest from a place of fantasy. They manifest from clarity, from soul contracts, from timelines that were written long before either of you could speak their names aloud. So let me ask you something right now, before we dive into the signs. What if the reason you can't stop thinking about them is because they're not trying to be thought about? They're trying to bring you into their orbit. Let's begin unraveling this. The first sign is subtle, but it's unmistakable once you learn to recognize it. It's the energetic echo. You don't just think about them, you feel them. You're sitting in silence, and suddenly your heart skips. You feel a warmth or a chill. A presence that washes over you like a wave. It's not memory. It's not nostalgia. It's now. This is because dark chosen ones don't manifest through vision boards and affirmations alone. They channel their desire through focused energy. Their thoughts are infused with intention, and that intention creates a vibrational ripple that finds you no matter where you are. They don't send messages through text, they send them through the field. And your body is the receiver. The second sign is dream infiltration. They appear in your dreams not as random characters, but with purpose. You'll dream of them in symbolic places, forests, oceans, abandoned cities, temples. These aren't just dreams. These are astral convergence points. When a dark chosen one is manifesting you, they don't just hope you feel it, they pull you into the dream realm. They visit you there to speak without words, to transfer codes, to remind your subconscious of something your conscious mind isn't ready to accept yet. And if you've been waking up with a sense of longing, confusion, or a strange emotional charge, you're not alone.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
They've been there, and they left something behind. The third sign is what I call the collapse of old patterns. Suddenly, relationships that once felt safe begin to feel suffocating. Places that once felt like home start to feel small. You begin to notice the disconnect between who you are and where you are. This isn't random. This is the effect of their manifestation working through the quantum web. You are being prepared. Your old life is being unraveled to make space for a connection that exists on a much higher frequency. They're not just calling you into their life, they're calling you out of the life that no longer serves you. And that's why everything feels like it's falling apart. Because something greater is trying to come together. The fourth sign is time distortion. This one is weird, and it'll mess with your head. You'll find yourself losing track of time when you think about them. Hours feel like minutes. Minutes feel like lifetimes. You'll start seeing repeating numbers 111, 22, 555 right in the middle of thinking about them. You'll have conversations where their name shows up, even from people who don't know your connection. Why is this happening? Because manifestation at the level of a dark chosen one bends time. They don't just align with timelines, they rewrite them. If you're becoming aware of their presence in strange, non-linear ways, it's because they're not working with the clock. They're working with the soul's schedule. The fifth sign is what I call emotional mirroring. You start feeling emotions that aren't yours. You wake up with a heavy heart for no reason. You feel excitement, grief, desire, or peace without an external cause. This is because they are channeling emotional energy toward you. They're not just thinking about you, they're feeling you into existence. And because true manifestation is never just mental, it's emotional, somatic, spiritual, you start absorbing their emotional field. This kind of connection transcends logic. It's not something you can rationalize. It's something you remember, even if you've never met them in this lifetime. And that brings us to something deeper. Soul memory activation. You begin to remember things you've never lived. You feel like you've known them forever, even if you've never spoken. You feel like something ancient is waking up inside you. This is not imagination. This is resonance. When a dark chosen one is manifesting you, they're not just calling your personality, they're calling your soul lineage. You start remembering the parts of you that were dormant. You become aware of the mission, the work, the lessons that exist between you and them. And it doesn't feel new. It feels like returning home. Now I want to ask you something that might shake you. What if the strange longing you've been carrying isn't loneliness, but a response to their call? You see, these manifestations do not come from ego. They come from recognition, from soul contracts, from unfinished timelines. A dark chosen one does not manifest for fun. They manifest because something within them says, now is the time. And once they start, the universe begins to move. Obstacles fall. Synchronicities explode. And you, without even knowing why, begin to change. Not because you're chasing anyone, but because something ancient inside of you has already agreed to meet them. You tell yourself it's just your imagination. You try to distract yourself, to stay busy, to focus on your goals, your healing, your life. But no matter how much you try to pull away, something keeps pulling you back. This isn't longing. This isn't infatuation. This isn't some unhealed attachment. This is something deeper, older, and far more mysterious. This is the magnetic pull of a soul who is calling you not with words, but with energy. And that energy belongs to someone who is not chasing you, but summoning you. A dark, chosen one. Now here's what makes it so confusing. This connection doesn't follow the rules of logic. You don't always know who they are. There might not even be a history between you, or if there is, it's fragmented, full of stops, starts, silence, and synchronicity. But your heart knows, your gut knows, your dreams know. And the reason you can't stop thinking about them is because they're not just in your thoughts, they're in your field. They've entered your energetic space through intention, focus, and spiritual alignment. And you feel it because the part of you that is beyond time and form already remembers them. This is the sixth sign that a dark chosen one is secretly manifesting you mental and emotional entanglement. You think about them at the strangest times. You feel their presence when you least expect it. And it's not always comforting. Sometimes it's intense. Sometimes it feels like pressure. Sometimes it feels like you're being pulled into something you didn't ask for. But that's because their energy is interfacing with yours, not to control you, not to hunt you, but to awaken you. Their soul is calling yours into remembrance, into alignment, into activation. What you need to understand is that manifestation at this level is not about control. The dark chosen one is not trying to bend your will. They're not casting spells or manipulating you. They're doing something much more powerful and much more dangerous to the ego. They are holding their vision of you with such clarity, such presence, that the universe itself begins to shift in your direction, and your soul feels it. That's why you can't stop thinking about them, because their desire is not just emotional, it's energetic. It's encoded, it's precise. But here's the twist. You're not just being pulled, you're being mirrored. The thoughts you're having about them, they're having about you. The emotions that surface in waves, they feel them too. The dreams, the signs, the synchronicities, they're happening on both ends. But the dark chosen one has likely already accepted the connection. They've already done the work to see it, claim it, and start aligning with it. You, on the other hand, might still be resisting. And that's okay. That resistance is part of the dance. But make no mistake, your soul is responding. Let's go deeper. Why do they manifest you this way? Why not just call or message or appear in your life? Because the dark chosen one doesn't operate through force, they operate through frequency. They know that if this connection is real, it doesn't need to be forced. It needs to be remembered. And until your soul is ready to remember, they hold the vision in silence. Not out of passivity, but out of reverence. Because they understand something most people forget: true connection honors divine timing. You see, when a dark chosen one is manifesting you, they're doing it from a place of deep inner clarity. They've likely already gone through their own transformation. They've faced their shadows. They've unlearned the false narratives. They've burned through illusions. So when they turn their attention to you, it's not casual. It's not impulsive. It's sacred. They're not manifesting a fantasy. They're manifesting alignment. And that's why it hits your system so hard, because it's real. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I feel them even when I'm not thinking about them? Why does everything remind me of them? Why does their energy show up when I'm moving on? These aren't signs of obsession. These are signs of resonance. Your soul is responding to theirs across dimensions. And the more you fight it, the louder it gets, not to torment you, but to wake you up. Because there's a part of you that knows. This isn't just another connection. This is a cosmic assignment. Now here's the hard truth. You can ignore the signs, but you can't erase the frequency. You can block them, mute them, delete the photos, burn the letters, but if they're truly manifesting you from the soul, the energy will still find you. Not to haunt you, but to invite you. To rise into the version of yourself that can actually meet them where they are. Because that's what this is really about, not romance, not nostalgia, not unfinished business. This is about alignment. This is about power. This is about stepping into the next level of your evolution. So I'll leave you with a question that might change everything. What if the very person you've been trying to forget is the one your soul chose before you were born? And what if their manifestation isn't pulling you off your path but calling you home to it? There comes a moment in the manifestation process that defies logic, time, even belief. It's the moment when something inside you shifts, not because of anything external, not because of a message or a meeting or a sign, but because your soul remembers. It's subtle, quiet, almost unnoticeable, but it changes everything. You wake up one day and realize you're not just thinking about them anymore, you're feeling them in your bones. You're sensing them in your breath. You don't know why, but something in you whispers it's already done. And that whisper doesn't come from your mind. It comes from the place where you'll sign the contract long before either of your bodies were born. This is the final stage of manifestation. The stage where it's no longer about desire or longing or even conscious intention. It's about alignment. It's about surrender. It's about letting the soul lead, even when the mind still doesn't understand where it's going. And here's what most people miss. Manifestation isn't complete when you get what you want. It's complete when you become the version of yourself who was always meant to receive it. That's what the dark chosen one knows. That's why, when they manifest you, they don't just send energy toward you, they summon your evolution. They call forth the version of you that remembers who you really are. And that's where things get intense. You may find yourself shifting in ways that don't make sense. Old habits fall away. Old wounds resurface. You start craving solitude, depth, silence. You begin releasing relationships, environments, patterns that no longer resonate. Not out of bitterness, but out of knowing. You're not running away, you're rising up. Because your soul has been activated, and now it's catching up with the timeline that was always meant for you. The dark chosen one didn't create this change, they simply triggered the remembering. Their energy touched something buried deep inside you, something unseen, something sacred. And now you're not becoming someone new, you're returning to who you've always been. What's wild is that you might still resist. The mind might still try to make sense of it all. It might question the validity of the connection. It might try to rationalize the feelings, explain the synchronicities away, silence the pull. But the soul does not speak in logic. It speaks in frequency. And by the time your soul remembers, the mind is no longer in charge. That's why you feel both terrified and liberated at once. That's why it feels like you're standing at the edge of something massive, something irreversible. Because you are. You've reached the moment where the manifestation is no longer being sent, it's being received. And that's when the final sign appears. Not outside of you, inside of you. It's not a number, a dream, a coincidence. It's a knowing. A calm, grounded, undeniable knowing that no matter what happens next, something has already shifted. The connection exists. The energy is real, and you don't need to chase it. You just need to trust it. This is also where the dark chosen one steps back. Not because they're done, but because they know the final step must be taken freely. They've done their part. They've called you in. They've held the vision. They've cleared the path. But now it's your soul's turn to walk it. And if the connection is true, if it's born not from ego but from essence, then the paths will merge not through force but through fate. Because when two awakened souls remember each other, the universe moves mountains to bring them into alignment. But here's the final truth, the one that most people aren't ready to hear. The dark chosen one didn't manifest you to complete you. They didn't call you in to fix you or save you or even love you in the way the world defines love. They called you in because your souls made a vow to awaken each other, to activate each other, to remind each other of the work, the wisdom, the mission you came here to fulfill. This manifestation is not about possession, it's about purpose. And if you're feeling it, if you're still listening, still resonating, still remembering, then you already know. This was never about romance. This was always about rebirth. So I'll ask you now, not from the surface of your mind, but from the depth of your being, what is your soul trying to remember right now? And are you willing to listen, even if it costs you your comfort? Because the final stage of manifestation isn't about them reaching for you. It's about you finally reaching for yourself. There's a moment in the spiritual journey where the illusion of separation dissolves. You stop seeing the other person as the destination, and instead you begin to understand they were the mirror, the trigger, the spark, the soul-stirring wave that awakens something dormant inside of you. The dark chosen one didn't come into your awareness to complete you. They came to reveal you, to activate you, to remind you of the version of yourself that you've buried beneath years of conditioning, fear, heartbreak, and survival. And now, as the pull grows stronger, as the signs multiply, and the energy intensifies, you're being asked to see the truth. It was never about them. It was always about who you're becoming in their presence, even if from a distance. This is what makes the connection so powerful and so painful. Because the more you awaken, the more you realize that what you were trying to get from them, love, validation, clarity, peace, was actually something your soul was waiting for you to reclaim from within. They didn't come to fill the void. They came to show you where the void was. They didn't come to save you. They came to remind you that you are the one you've been waiting for. And that's why their energy feels so disruptive, so invasive, so unforgettable. Because it's not just them you're feeling, it's you rising. We often think manifestation is about getting something, but the highest form of manifestation is becoming someone. Someone aligned, someone awake, someone who no longer needs the external to validate the internal. That's what the dark chosen one calls forth in you. They don't just want your attention, they want your ascension. And whether you end up with them in the physical or not, the real gift is what they've awakened. A deeper connection to your intuition, your boundaries, your truth, your power. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop chasing them, the moment you stop obsessing over signs and outcomes, is the moment you step into your own frequency. And that frequency is what draws all things meant for you into your life, not through force, but through resonance. That's when the true magic begins. Not when you get them, but when you get you. When you realize that their manifestation wasn't about possession, it was about permission. Permission to evolve, permission to expand, permission to let go of the version of you that believed you had to earn love, chase it, or beg for it. The dark chosen one didn't choose you because you were broken. They chose you because they saw what you forgot. They saw your soul through the layers, through the masks, through the noise. And now you're starting to see it too. That's the final sign. Not a dream, not a number, not a feeling, but a knowing. A grounded, embodied remembrance that you are no longer the person you were before you felt their energy. You've changed. You've grown. You've become. So let's end this with a question that only your soul can answer. What if the entire point of their manifestation was to wake you up to yourself? What if they were never meant to be the destination, but the catalyst? Because the truth is, the real manifestation was never them. The real manifestation was you.